와, 먹기 일보 직전에 서로가 서로를 물었거든요. 서로가 서로의 꼬리를 물었고 서로가 서로의 목을 물었는데 한 발 모자랐습니다.
Time. Oh, heck no. No. We want to see whether the Afrika Freaks can back this one up against KT, whether KT roster can fight back. Now, with red side in their hands, Smeb should be able to get himself a better matchup up against Keen, so things will be very different. Afrika going to change up the bans just a little bit. The Gragas is going to be taken away from score this time. The LeBlanc was banned in game number 1, third by the Afrika Freaks. as the Jace and the Rise once again going to hit the bench.
Nocturne now being banned away.
It's interesting because the Zoe still available. We want to see whether the pickup here can back
every
this one up
single AD carry
against KT, where the KT Rolster can fight back. Now with red side in their hands, KT should be able to get himself a better matchup mid lane or the AD carry position. Will be very different. Solution with the going to change up the bands just a little bit. The Gragas is going to be taken away from score this time. Does really like that guy. The LeBlanc was banned in game number 1, so KT by the Afrika Freaks. Throwing that one to the wind, and the Zoe is a pretty obvious one again going to hit the bench.
This is one of Sun's most played champions now being banned away in solo queue right now.
It's interesting because he was basically we want to see whether the pick up here and back this one up against KT, where the KT Rolster can fight back. Now with red side in their he's going to lock that one away. KT Rolster actually able to get himself a better match. First time he's played it, so first time he's being allowed to going to change up the bands. Galio Callisto going to come in, is going to be taken away from KT Rolster. Does really like going to get LeBlanc on the back of the game here, so KT throwing that one to the wind, and with very powerful first rounds in this draft. But what can Afrika Freaks do to augment this Zoe pickup? I feel like Tankkench Ezreal does work out very well here to go into one of those compositions, but Ashe has been fitting into a similar role right now.
A lot of Koreans recently are of the opinion that Ashe is a better answer to Kalista than anyone else right now. I personally think that Draven is up there, but obviously not too many Draven enthusiasts in the LCK, but Ashe and Draven are the general consensus for the answers to Kalista picks right now, and so trying to match the power level down there in the bottom. They have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, they have the Zoe as well, and now KT, if there was a chance to pick Yorick, it would have just been right there. The Elise is just very perplexing to me, because Elise is not going to get hit inside of the bans in the follow-up round, especially not with those champions having been revealed. I feel like this is a really big blunder not to have just gotten the Yorick for Smeb, and then you ban away the Yorick counters.
Yeah, Fiora Jax could be then the next round of bans.
Jax Vladimir.
Yeah, maybe their idea is maybe their idea is banning away champions to go into scores matchup to try and do a similar line of thought without having to then hit solely the top lane. I can understand it in theory, but the Elise is jumping out at me as KT wanting to go for double physical damage in their solo lanes.
Yep. Well, Olaf now banned away, obviously relatively okay into the Elise. Syndra now being targeted as well.
Yeah, the Zoe counters, they're trying to get rid of them. The options into the Zoe anyway. Doesn't feel like there are many counters for that pick in the mid lane at the moment. The Kha'Zix is going to be taken away, so Dread not going to have that comfort pick as the answer, and the Zed. It's the first time that we've seen any sort of attention given apart from hovers, and it's going to be banned away from B2D, and I actually really like that read because the Elise was picked up, and Yasuo, something like a Yasuo, a Zed can certainly work out, but the Yasuo is going to be locked in here, so B2D going to be taking that once again.
I definitely would have much rather have banned away the Yasuo than the Syndra instead, because then you're able to go Mercury Treads against the Elise, Galio, and the Syndra. You have a little bit of magic resistance against her as well. And now it's going to be a little bit difficult to itemize against the Yasuo-Elise combo. Afrika on the flip side going to go with the Aatrox and the Lee Sin. Yorick can definitely be picked here.
Yeah, I feel like if they do lock away the Aatrox, it makes it a very easy Yorick pickup. That's a dangerous one for Kane. It's what Flame decided to do. That was his blind pick option. He played it back-to-back in games and was just smashed by Yorick in lane yesterday. Damwon versus Kingzone was not exactly a happy time for Damwon fans. And Rascal getting Flame's number is something that a lot of us weren't actually expecting. But after back-to-back Aatrox performances, this is so obvious, right? The Yorick is going to be locked away. And look at that mixed damage profile that we were talking about. This is so obvious from KT with that Elise pickup in the third round.
Well, Afrika find themselves inside of a nightmare as this entire team composition is now reliant on either one of two things occurring. Either Ashe and Zoe get very far ahead, at which point KT's team composition cannot stabilize and hold on, or Atlas.
Oh yeah, give it to me.
It all just comes down to Zoe bubbles around the 40-minute mark, which is not a very good thing that you want to have happen. So KT They're going to feel pretty comfortable, I would imagine, walking out of this draft in game number 2. Question remains, where is Karthus? That's the that's the big
I think that
for
question
me.
will be always the big one for you, LS, as we bring up the Afrika roster. It's going to be Aatrox into the Yorick once again, Lee Sin in the jungle, Zoe, and then Ashe and Alistair will be your bottom lane.
Definitely a heavy reliance on getting ahead. The Lee Sin, it's going to be on him to try to weather the storm for Zoe in the mid lane, but also making sure that Aatrox does not fall behind there up in the top lane. On the flip side, though, for KT, Kalista Galio, that's a kill lane that is going to be trying to get ahead. Yasuo, Elise also trying to accelerate. But it's not like these champions don't actually have scaling. When you look at the Afrika comp, these champions are able to go late. In fact, we'd probably say that they're stronger the longer that the game ends up going.
Yeah. The thing that I'm scared about is mid-game last breaths being activated by this Galio to come in, as well as a lot of other options. Let's see what happens here in game number 2.
Oh.
Yeah, we are in a KT-dominated LoL Park at the moment. Afrika not quite able to pick up their fans. Thankfully, Aiming brought his mum today, so that he's definitely got a fan. And also now has an MVP off the back of game number 1, and now is back on the same champion once more. So should be some comfort for Aiming on the bottom side of the map. Jelly going to move on over, and his Alistair was fantastic also. So I'm really glad to see Afrika sticking to this lane combination. But now with Snowflower on the Galio, his heroic entrance is going to be very, very frightening if he can move up this river. Because if he jumps on top of anyone, it's going to be stopwatches necessary. Otherwise, BDD is going to be all over you.
2 cleanses out for KT as well. Definitely respecting the Enchanted Crystal Arrow and the Zoe bubbles.
Yeah, Zenit actually moving over to it.
Peculiar ward location there for Sun. You don't actually need it. What you can do is you can place the ward close to where BDD was actually standing. And a lot of people don't know this, but the left side Scuttle Crab will pass onto the right-hand side of that ward that Sun placed at around 219. And if it doesn't show, it means that the crab was eaten.
Right.
So definitely able to just utilize the pathing nature of the crab in order to know if it's been consumed or not. And you could have just placed the ward a little bit further up because that's like half a ward right now. That's not getting that much intel, but doesn't matter. Score seems to have other plans in mind.
Well, I was actually thinking that you were focusing on the wrong thing, because this Zoe has taken Unsealed Spellbook, and knowing you, Mr. LS, you are a bit of a fan of this Keystone.
Yeah. I think in lanes where you don't really need the Aerie to try to bully or pressure the opponent, Spellbook is just inherently better. I think this actually goes for most champions as well, but Zoe is definitely one of the best champions that's able to utilize it, because she's going to overkill you regardless at the 30-40 minute mark as long as she hits a bubble. It's not about having a summoner.
Yeah, and also you should be able to control this lane relatively well. I mean, range versus melee doesn't exist as much against the Yasuo because, as you can see, it throws a lot of tornadoes around and things like that. However, you're going to have a lot more reliability by being able to switch up these summoner spells as you move into the later stages of the game. Score doesn't want them to do that, though, as he's looking for an early dive. Vision is down. Remember, Jelly does have the Pulverize, so you can't just pile in on top of this bottom lane underneath the turret. And Score says, no, I'm not going to go for a dive just yet as he takes down the Krugs.
Definitely be very difficult to execute. Now, Score is clearing the Golem. I think that they really want to force the agenda here.
Starting to make this look relatively obvious, though, as Aiming actually does take a decent chunk of damage, but Zenit now is completely out of mana. The taunt is going to land. Snowflower is going to pick up the aggro. His Score is able to get it for Zenit there. He's going to be able to get out, and now Sun doesn't find the beach ball. That is huge news, as it is evened out in the end. Zenit has to flash. Score might have to do the same, as he's just trying to take someone down with him, but he's not going to. That is a great trade for Afrika Freaks.
Yeah, that was one of the most questionable and bizarre dive attempts that KT just ended up going for, and Afrika, they had the teleport on the Zoe. Now, yes, BDD is going to get some experience in the mid lane and also going to get some CS that Zoe is missing out on, but nonetheless, Afrika, they're definitely going to be happy with the overall result from this. We can see Snowflower comes in here. A little bit of damage loss on the side of aiming. He ends up even messing up his stutter step right there. The bubble ends up missing on Zenit. Otherwise, this could have been a lot worse. Would have probably ended up expending the cleanse almost immediately on the Kalista. But nonetheless, Freaka gonna walk away from that relatively happy, as Smeb is the first to recall up in top lane here. He's also down in CS, gonna be going Ninja Tabby's first item, Snowflower, coming in here. I just gotta point out that Galio skin, it's reminding me of, you ever see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
I have, yeah.
It looks like the cape that, what's his name, Leatherface wears?
God.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I do. It's been a while since I've watched that particular movie.
That movie needs a remake.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a huge horror movie fan. As Snowflower looks for it, but doesn't have the flash, so he's not going to be able to lock down Dread.
You don't like horror movies?
No, I get too scared, man. I get too scared. You know, I'm the kind of person that's like really empathic when I watch movies, so like horror movies are really difficult for me. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Actually, I also, when I was a kid, my parents took me and my sister, who's 2 years younger than me, to see Phantom of the Opera, which was...
You know, I never saw that.
Well, the stage play is amazing, right? Some of the best music to be written for a long time. So it's great, but I was so scared I needed to listen to Christmas carols in order to sleep for the next week afterwards. And Phantom of the Opera is not that scary. I was just, for some reason, absolutely terrified. And my 8-year-old sister at the time,
she was loving it?
Absolutely fine. Loving it, loved the music, you know, everything like that. It's one of the best experiences of her life. And for me, I was in hell.
Did you ever see Paranormal Activity?
Yeah, I did, actually. So that was a few years later, so I was actually capable of dealing with that one. But that was, I actually really enjoyed that for the style more than anything else.
Yeah. So, I think the first of its kind, actually.
Yeah.
Found footage that really utilized it well. I mean, obviously,
bottom side of the map, Zenit is trying to bounce away from this one, but aiming going to get slowed down by the Ren. Zenit, no flash available, tagged by the volley, but Jelly not with the headbutt pulverized just yet, and Dread spotted on a ward. Still, definitely a great trade for the Afrika Freaks bottom side of the map.
Everything's going really well, actually, on the bottom side of the map. Same can't be said in mid lane, 24 CS deficit. Although Zoe does have a couple of minions in front of her turret right now.
Yeah, Score just wanting to try and repel any dive attempt. But damage control is not what you want to be doing as the Elise. You want to be demanding the respect of the Lee Sin around the map, and we've spoken about this matchup for so many years. The Lee Sin into the Elise. Whoever has the priority, whoever has the jump on their opponent is going to win the exchange. Is how we discuss it. See how they are going to go as this game moves forward. But at the moment, Dread is in a great spot. 2-0-0. Exactly what you want, and already with a gold bounty. Turret plate's going to be falling on the bottom side as well as the Demolish proc picks it up there for Jelly. This is bad news. Zenit had to go home. That's going to be a lot of CS missed. About 15. Couple of waves, in fact. Yeah, exactly. Very bad news, Bears.
And now the wave is actually going to come back into Afrika. Dread maybe wanting to set something up here. Oh, this might actually entirely just give it away. Why is a Alistar arbitrarily pathing in the brush? Gave that whole thing away. Unfortunate. That's going to be a sad cow.
That is a sad cow, but that is aiming getting a free back there. The timing was exactly what he wanted. He took cleanse as well. Not going to be teleporting like that. Infernal Chains again on Smeb as lead for Kane. Heath. Once again, coming in what Flame went like that into a more sticky. Did you go for being what's been 6 of the game? It's your matchup. Yes. In the lane. But out of control.
Need is down. Now he's still really a very clean finish for a pretty
Yeah,